As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elsmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Right, welcome to episode 10 of Running the Red Line. We have hit it. We have hit 10 episodes, Andy. So, to celebrate...
Way!
Yeah,
Where did you get that from? 1997? I haven't seen a party popper since then.
I know. I've had that on my shelf since my birthday, and I just saw it just before we started recording. I thought that'd be brilliant.
Is that like one of a kind, like unique smell, like
yes,
filling your nostrils right now? The smell of burning.
Yeah, it smells like back being a kid. Remember when you had cap guns or little darts with caps? That's what it smells like.
Oh man. I remember going to a toy shop and I remember getting one day a gun, and that would be the end of the sentence. That would be the end of the story if you're in America.
Yeah, I remember I went shopping to the supermarket, bought my food and a gun.
And it had this, when you hit the trigger, it had this little thing that said bang, like a little ribbon.
Yes, yeah.
And the novelty wore off after about, the first... after a first two or three,
you had to roll the ribbon back up, didn't you, into the thing and push it back in so you could use it again.
Mom, this is rubbish. I don't want to play with this anymore. Can I have a real gun? Can I be like the Americans?
But there we go. So yeah, episode 10. We are here. It's very different to normal. We are actually recording whilst the sun is out in the sky, so you might see some reflections on the frame behind Andy from the window. Yeah. Normally it's pitch black.
Well, it's Friday afternoon at my request, really, because tomorrow I've got an early start. I'm heading down to North Devon, so I'm doing a wedding. Laura and I are photographing a wedding down in a place called Ilfracombe, so it's on the North Devon coast.
Yeah,
but the weather looks dreadful. It looks really bad. And the couple that have booked us wanted like this beach wedding. And that's the game you play in the UK. Mm-hmm. If you want to, risk it, then, you have to be. But luckily they had dry and they've got wet weather plans, and they've gone for the dry weather plans. So they're actually having us, because they asked for so many setup photos, because it's a military wedding. I've never done a military wedding before. And they've got lots of combinations of, sergeant majors and corporals and all these people that are coming, that there won't be any time for like actually going to the beach to take photos, because we're going to lose the light at 5:30 when they'll be sitting down for food. So we sort of said, I know this is breaking tradition, but the only way we can get this done is if you guys meet before. We're going to have to do a portrait session before you're married.
Oh, wow.
And that's something that I've never done. And again, it's following the American the American pathway of weddings, because what they do over there, they do something called a first look, where you literally look at each other, but you don't say anything to each other. And you have this moment captured on camera, seeing each other, but you don't interact with each other. So we're going to do that at like 11 in the morning. We're going to take some photographs of them too. I mean, I think there will be some talking, to be honest, but we're on a Zoom call, and she is very non-traditional, and he's quite traditional. And I was getting the feeling like he was very superstitious about it, and she was like, "Nah, come on, it'll all be fine." And he's like, "I'm not supposed to see you because it's bad luck." But it's a beach wedding, so it's not really
Yeah.
that traditional anyway.
No.
So, but anyway, and do you know
Nice.
what? Do you know what the funny thing is? It is about. We're starting work at 10. We're getting down there for 10, so it's going to be a 5:30 leave for us. But it's about 20 minutes away from the Woolacombe Dunes Parkrun.
Oh.
So I'm thinking, can I just turn up in my running kit and
do that?
do the first look?
The problem is, it starts at 9 parkrun. Are you going to get round before 10?
Well, it's
with the
known
Woolacombe Dunes?
as the slowest, one of the slowest in the world, isn't it? So
Yeah.
maybe a good idea to swerve it. But I do really, really want to do that one again, because I did that one probably 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and it's amazing. It's so much fun. So you can't describe it unless you've done it. It's like, have you ever run through sand? Like, have you ever tried it? It's next to pointless.
Yeah. I've done a bit of running on sand and stuff. Obviously, the Western Supermare half that we did last year, the sand that we were running on was quite compact, so it was very different. But yeah, running on the dunes is it's not the same as running on any other surface, is it?
Well, the thing that makes that parkrun so legendary is there's a section halfway called the Dune of Doom, which, because you run the first half, you run very steeply downhill to start the parkrun. Then you have a good, maybe even a mile to 3/4 of a mile. It's more like K1/2 running on the hard sand where the sea, is depending on where the tide is. And then you've got to go back up a level. But the only way to go back up is up the Dune of Doom. And that's what makes the parkrun so special, because it's already hard work by the time you've got there, and you've been running downhill and flat. But the fun starts halfway through, and you've got to get up that travelator, and it has to be experienced for everybody. I think if you're a parkrun lover, I would heartily recommend trying that parkrun at least once.
Yeah, that parkrun has been on my list of to do for a long time. I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to try and do it in summer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in my bus and go down on the Friday night, sleep on my bus, and then get up in the morning and do it, and have a day around Woolacombe. I think
that's the way to do it. I think that's absolutely the way to do it, because Woolacombe is so cool. It's like it's a seaside town, but it's more like I wouldn't say it's hippified. It's just it's a surfer's paradise.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really have a snooty feel or it's just a really quite a unique, quite cool place. And there's some good places to go get coffee and go to get pizza and stuff. And you've got this amazing parkrun and a really nice beach. And so, it's a really nice part of the world.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into wanting to do this tomorrow. I've got to stop talking about
it. I'm guessing as well that the Dune of Doom is a bit like the Stairmaster in the gym. Do you know those
never ending,
like treadmills, but they're just steps? Because when you're running up a dune, every step you then go backwards, don't you? You're like taking one step forward and 2 steps back.
It does. It feels so counterproductive. But I watched my video I did on it back recently, and I saw a guy like literally run past me, and I just thought, fair play. Like honestly, the burn of the quads. I think your quads will burn whether you walk it or run it. So you might as well just run it if you can.
Yeah.
So you're better off just getting up it as quickly as possible. And he managed it. But if I ever did it again, I think I would literally try and run that dune, because I got to the bottom of the dune and I didn't. I think I just wanted to kind of soak it up and sort of take it easy. But I think if I did it again, I would. Yeah, I would go a lot harder.
What shoes did you wear for that?
I wore some road shoes on that one because I didn't know if to wear trails or barefoot. I didn't know what to wear because, at the start, like barefoot, you couldn't run that because it is, there are some hard packed traily sections. I mean, if you're hardcore, of course you can, but I ran it in road shoes. I ran it in Reeboks at the time. And they were ruined afterwards because those particular shoes were called Float Ride Energy 4s, and what they had, like the upper had like a really thin sort of woven mesh gauze almost over the top of the upper, and I just got so much sand in that and I couldn't get it out, so I just had to constantly just be happy with sandy feet. I brought half the beach back with me, and for every run after that I was just sand all over the house, and
had a pedicure on every run.
Yeah, my feet felt great. but yeah, so Devon, North Devon tomorrow. Looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
What shoes would you wear next time if you do it again?
Probably the lightest shoe I own. So I'd probably wear a Takumi, I think.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't bother wearing a carbon shoe. There's probably no point. Probably best to wear one of your shoes that's at the end of its life cycle. Don't wear your brand new shoes, because if you do, the sand does get into places where sometimes it's difficult to get out. So yeah, maybe don't wear your brand new shoes on the course. But yeah, I think I'd probably wear them at the Takumi Sens. Probably.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Because you don't need, when sand gets in your feet, it just makes your foot feel twice as heavy. So wear the lightest shoe. If you wear a heavy trail shoe, yeah, it's going to feel even heavier. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So yeah, wear a light shoe, I would.
Nice. So enjoy your trip tomorrow. That should be good fun.
Yeah, and then so that means no running tomorrow for the first Saturday in God knows how long, because Saturday is my run day. Like and Sunday, I'm going to run Sunday, but I can't remember the last time I didn't run on a Saturday. So somehow it's a day off tomorrow. Yeah. It's like it's an 11-hour working day with 3.5 hours of driving either side. So that's a day off. That's the only way I know I can't run. So So in a weird way, it's needed.
Have you had a rest day already this week, or have you ran every day?
Yeah. So Tuesdays and Fridays are becoming my regular days off. So I ran today because I knew I wouldn't yesterday.
Yeah.
And as I head towards peak weeks, which for me, I'm in a couple of weeks behind you guys from Manchester and London, but I'm gonna probably take it up to 6 days a week, and maybe one peak week. I might take it up to 7, maybe. Run every day. So I'll have about a 10-day period of running every day. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably what will happen, because I found, like, I started the podcast off last week moaning about my legs. I'm still moaning, to be honest. I'm not feeling much better this week, but I'm just finding the load is really, I'm in double figures now. I'm week 10 of training, and I'm feeling the load. I'm feeling the heaviness in my legs. Even I did an easy run today, and it just didn't feel. Well, it didn't feel easy, because my lungs were like, yeah, this is good, this is nice. But I felt like I was in Woolacombe Dunes. Like I felt like my shoes were really, really heavy. So I'm just at that stage where everything hurts. But not hurts. It's more of an ache. And I want to just sleep for a week. That's what I want. But I know I've just got to get through peak.
Yeah.
And then the taper will hopefully do its thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm on peak week next week, so I will hit my highest mileage next week. So,
are you going to do 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 2 weeks, or
of taper?
Of peak.
Of peak. So
is it just literally 1 week?
Yes. So I've been
like a pyramid.
Yeah, I've slowly been building throughout, and then I had that 1 week where I dropped down slightly and had a deload week, which was supposed to be for nationals cross country, but that didn't happen. And then I've started building again, so I'm slowly building up the mileage again to peak week, and then I'll have 3 weeks taper.
If that hadn't been in your diary, that cross country, do you think you would have not even taken a deload week? Would it have just constantly gone up?
No, I think I would have always put a deload week in there, just to have that slight respite halfway through the block, because you can't just keep on building all the way through, because it's a long old build if you do it that way.
Well, that's where I am. I'm having my second sort of deload at the moment, and for me, what that means is I'm just dropping the volume by about 15% or 20% maybe of last week and recent weeks. So, for example, I know not everyone speaks kilometers, but I've been doing lately the last couple of weeks. I've done 80, 83, and then 86, and this week is going to be about 68, something like that, something like
Yeah.
maybe 770. But the session, I only did one session and I didn't run above marathon pace. So nothing too intense. But I don't know if that even qualifies as a recovery week, because I haven't been recovery paces every session. I haven't been doing them.
It's a deload week. So
It's more of
you're
a deload,
keeping,
yeah.
you're keeping some intensity there, but you're just dropping the volume down. So
Yeah.
your legs are getting some recovery from the less mileage, but you're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
keeping that intensity. So you're keeping that work going, and your body's not losing that pace and that ability to run at the faster speeds. So yeah, it's good.
So
I
I was going to say, you were going to be doing. You know what I'm going to say? You were looking forward to something on Sunday.
Indeed.
The floor is yours.
So yes, so Sunday, this week I have been front loading the week. So trying to get more mileage in at the start of the week, so I could have a really easy Saturday ready for racing on Sunday, because Sunday was supposed to be Droitwich half marathon. And I was looking forward to going to that, because not only was it going to be a good tester of where the legs are for the marathon coming up, but it was also the Worcestershire half marathon champs. So last year I managed to get, I got a silver, I think. Got second place in the over 40s. So yeah, I was quite looking forward to that because of that. And it has been cancelled, unfortunately. And the reason for the cancellation is exactly the same as the Nationals cross country. So it's
Nothing
not because
to do
of the
with
course,
No.
nothing to do with the actual race itself. It's all to do with the car park situation, and where they had organised the parking is all waterlogged and flooded, and they don't think they're going to be able to park enough people because it was sold out. They don't think they're going to have enough space for all the cars that are going to turn up. So they've decided to cancel.
Disappointing, massively disappointing.
It is annoying. And last night when I found out it was cancelled, I went straight online trying to look for another race, but I can't find one close enough really, because Bath half is completely sold out, so there's no way of getting into that. I think there might be one in Wales, but that's a bit far away to go just for a race. I don't know. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet on Sunday. I've got to decide tomorrow and see what I'm doing.
And that's it, isn't it? It's like Droitwich is this is going to sound disrespectful to run through now, but like Droitwich is quite an interesting course. I mean, you could probably find a run through, as in the company race organizer run through event, that's, I don't know, running around a race course somewhere in the UK. But I find the half marathons that they put on a lot of the time are a little bit uninspiring. Let's just say that.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. They do have some really good ones. Like the Warwick one was pretty good, but they do ones like the Cheltenham Racecourse one, which is just laps of the racecourse and stuff, which is just people that just want to thrash out a time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where you would have been, but I know you, and I know you were looking forward to attacking those big hills, and you were gonna, and you wanted the Worcestershire. You wanted a good, a good go at the gold.
Yeah,
and it's just a massive shame, isn't it?
Yeah, but these things happen, don't they? So yeah, plans have changed now. I'll decide what I'm doing. But as I say, I've been front loading my week, so I've actually had a really good week, to be honest. I realised on Tuesday evening, when I finished my Tuesday runs, I had hit from Saturday morning to Tuesday evening. I'd already racked up 65 mile. So
up until when?
Up until Tuesday evening from Saturday. So in 4 days,
mental.
in 4 days I'd done 65 mile, and then Thursday I did 22. So yesterday I did 22 mile. So for this week from Monday, I'm already on 54 mile. So yeah, I'd front loaded the week ready for the race, and now I'm just going to be like a coiled spring on Sunday. But
yeah, that's crazy volume. Are you feeling it, by the way? Are you feeling the load? Are you feeling aching and
Yes,
tired? And
yesterday morning, my legs weren't my friends at all. When I first started my run, my calves felt like they were made out of concrete. They just didn't want to work and didn't want to move at all. They slowly loosened up towards the end of the run, but they weren't right at all. But I don't know that if that's because I'd had a rest day on the Wednesday, so I hadn't done anything, and then obviously got up out of bed, got ready and did a few things around the house, then went out for a run. And I don't think I'd quite warmed up fully before I'd started running. And because they'd had that day of rest where they'd just tightened up, I hadn't loosened them up properly, ready for that run. But yeah, I am starting to feel the fatigue, but at the same time, I'm still running well. So I'm trying to ride that wave of feeling good during the sessions and trying to keep that in my head. So that's where I am mentally, rather than going, man, I'm tired, and starting to feel that. Yeah, I'm trying to fool myself into thinking I'm still feeling fresh, even though the legs are starting to feel tired.
And how's that nerve irritation injury? Is that still
touch wood?
Still there?
It's still there, but it's way better than it was. I can just
Good.
I can feel it whilst I'm running, but it's not causing any issues and not causing any pain. So
Good.
it's not hindering me in any way at the moment. So yeah, I'm really happy with where we are.
Amazing.
But yeah, so this week, Monday, I had my recovery day, but because I did 90. So, well, actually, let's go back to Saturday, because we spoke last Friday, didn't we? So Saturday, I ran my fastest park run of the year so far, and since I was injured. So very happy with that. I went under 18 minutes for the first time this year. So I did 17:57. So yeah, quite pleased with that. So that was good.
How did you run it? Did you go out hard like usual and then of
course I did.
Limp over the finish line, or did you work into it? Or
so I went out with the boys at the front and obviously set off way too quick, and then just went, right, I'm just going to try and keep this up, and I've managed to keep that pace throughout the whole of the run, so that was decent. So yeah, quite pleased with that. And then Sunday I did a long run session. So it was supposed to be 18 mile. And I set my session as 3 miles up, 5 times 1 mile at marathon pace, 1 mile at float pace, then 2 mile at marathon pace and 3 mile down. So that was a total of 18 miles. And I hit 18 miles and I was still 2 mile away from my house. So I thought, right, I'm just going to keep on running. And I topped up to 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I did 19.4 mile in 2 hours 15 at an average of 6:57 for the whole run.
That sounds like that must be a really big confidence boost to that.
Yes. So that was good. I felt really good after that. And yeah, the confidence going towards Manchester is starting to grow now. So I'm looking forward to getting to that peak week next week and seeing what happens in that 20 miler.
Was this the one you sort of ran out to Studley, then back to Finstall, and then back home? Because I'm just stalking your Strava right now. It says it's come up as 31k, so that's about 20 mile. You did it.
Have a look.
And the notes on your session is 3 miles up, 5 by 1 mile.
Yes, that's it.
Tempo,
that's the one.
So I can never ever moan about elevation again, because you did 348 meters, which I guess isn't far off 1,000 feet or maybe more.
It's just over 1,000 feet, I think. And go on, let me check.
And looking at your elevation graph, you hit 28k, which is, you would have been not a 17 mile in, and then it looks like you're faced with like an Everest style hill, and then you obviously looking at your pace chart, you still hit faster paces going up that hill.
Yes.
So you must have somehow had enough in the tank in week, what are we, 12 for you? You
Yeah.
must have felt,
No, I'm in week 10. I'm in week 10.
week 10. So
Yeah.
oh yeah, because we started at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you must have been like, well, if it were me, maybe I'm different to you. I would have been massively like patting myself on the back. But I know you. You're super modest about everything. But that is a crazy run. Like looking at the stats, looking at the elevation plot, that's a pretty decent run. That is, 350 meters of elevation, 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
2 hours 15. That's decent.
1,142 feet apparently of elevation gain. Now there's obviously downhill within that as well, because you aren't just going uphill. So there's obviously downhill as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a fair few hills to get up. Yeah. But everywhere around Redditch is hilly, so yeah, it's just the way it is.
It's good. It must be it must be mega pleasing when you finish that run and you get back and you think, yes, that was not an easy run.
No.
And I've done well. Because it says here, this was your second fastest time in the 30K, according to Strava. So you must have had a really strong run.
Yeah. So I was really pleased. But yeah, so
it's not far off marathon pace. That it's 4:19 per K. So I don't know. That's probably like what 4.6.
It's
40 something, is it?
6:57 a mile average for the whole thing, and 3 hour marathon pace is 6:51s. So it's not far off.
That's mega. That's I'm more excited about this than you are by the sounds of things.
But bearing in mind that's got the like up and down miles in it as well. That average, I'm really pleased that I hit those. I think I overcooked every single marathon pace mile and every single float mile as well. So I was supposed to run the marathon miles at 6:40 a mile, and the float miles I wanted to do 30 seconds slower, so 7:10s for the float miles. And I think I ended up doing like 6:26, 6:22, 6:34, 6:32, 6:27, 6:35, and 6:29 for all the marathon pace miles. So they were all around 6:30s rather than 6:40s. And then the float miles ended up being like 6:51, 7:06, 7:01, 7:01, 6:59. So they were all slightly quick as well. So knowing that I've run that distance and I managed to overpace everything, it is good for the confidence. So that's
good.
And
again, looking at your Strava, the day after, you did a 13.5K run to the shop, 10K shop to the gym, then you did a gym workout, and then you did a run back from the gym. Yeah. So that's a big recovery day.
Yeah, so 16 mile on the Monday as a recovery day.
But the thing is, this is the thing though, because for my little miles, not little, because that's belittling anyone that runs my pace, but like for anyone that doesn't run sub 3, I guess what you're saying is this is what you do. This is what you do. If you want to run a sub 3, you've got to put the miles in, and you've got to.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds alien, sounds crazy to me, but
I just think you've got to have that volume to know, for your legs to know what it's like to pound the streets on tired legs. Because when you're trying to run a marathon at a pace, you've got to get to the end of that last 10K, knowing that your legs are shattered and they're really tired, but still be able to run at pace. So to get that feeling, you need to get that mileage into your legs and get that fatigue into your legs, so you can run on tired legs and still hit pace.
I think that's one of the things that I'm slowly learning is running on tired legs. You can't have fresh legs because it's almost like a false indicator, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you run well on fresh legs, of course you're going to run well on fresh legs, but it's almost like it makes you just feel a bit tougher, doesn't it? When you've had a rough run on tired legs, it just makes you feel a bit more. There's a bit more of a sort of gratified feeling because you sort of say to yourself, "Wow, I'm tougher than I thought I was." I got that run out of the way,
Yeah.
and that's what you got to do during marathon
Yeah.
training, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, like on Tuesday and yesterday, I've had a couple of good sessions as well. So I ended up with, overall, I ended up with 16.6 miles on Tuesday, and that included a road session where we were doing, they ended up being about 1,600 meters. So just shy of a mile. They were supposed to be mile repeats, but they ended up being just shy of a mile. And we did 5 times a mile off about 200 meters recovery. And I was hitting, I was hitting around, I started off around half marathon pace, so around 6:15 a mile. And then the last mile I did at like 5:50 something pace. So I was pretty pleased with that.
Nice.
And then yesterday we were on the track again. And we did 400s. And because like some of us were racing, our coach Andy said, right, all those of you that are racing, rather than doing 12 times 400, knock it down to maybe 8 and don't go out so fast. Maybe bring it down to half marathon pace. So you're not going all out. And I set off with the rest of the group, and I ran with Andy for that first 400, and we went through in 85 seconds, and 6-minute miling is 90 seconds. So I was like, okay. So in my head, before we started the session, I was like, I want to run anywhere between 90 and 95 seconds a lap. So around 6 minutes, 6-minute 15 miling, right? So we went out, first lap was 85 seconds, and I was like, oh, okay. And it was off a rolling 100-meter recovery. So we hit 400 meters, and then you jog 100 meters at the next 100-meter mark, 400, and then jog 100. And we did that first 400, and I went, right, I'm just committed now to that pace. So slightly slowed down the next 2 to about 89 seconds, and then thought, no, I can hit these 85s. Did the rest of them at 85. And then the last 400, I think I did a 78. So,
nice.
Yeah, to be able to once again do that. And I did all 12 rather than stopping at 8. I did all 12.
You're so stubborn, aren't you?
Yeah.
So stubborn.
I was like, I've committed now. I'm doing the whole session. I don't care. I don't care. I've got a race on Sunday. I'm doing the session. So
I'm doing it at 3K pace.
And then, ended up doing them at a decent pace. So, pretty pleased with that.
Fair play. That sounds like. And then where does that take up until last? Was that last night? Was it?
That was last night. Yeah. So I ended up with a 22-mile day. So I'm on 54.6 mile for the week so far.
Nice. So you're doing 2 club sessions a week, are you?
Yes. Tuesdays and Thursdays are always club sessions.
Is that like a religious? You'll always do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the sessions are always Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will always try and work my week around doing those 2 sessions on a Tuesday and Thursday, and then my Sunday long run session. I just, rather than trying to work out a marathon like training schedule, I like to think about my Sunday, and I'll work out what I'm going to do on Sunday on the Saturday. And I know that Andy's going to organise sessions which are good for what I need to do on a Tuesday and Thursday, so I can forget about that and just go and do whatever Andy has prescribed on the Tuesday and Thursday.
Because am I right in thinking you always have your Wednesdays off?
Yes. So Wednesdays and Fridays are always rest days, no matter what.
So in terms of intensity, are they normally around about the same, Tuesdays and Thursdays? I know it's as hard as you want to make them, essentially, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
But do you normally have a similar level of intensity on both days?
Yeah,
Tuesday and Thursday,
it all depends on whether we're racing or not. Because normally, if we're racing on a Sunday, we'll do the Tuesday a bit harder, and then we'll possibly do like a steady run on the Thursday, or an easier session on the Thursday, ready for the race on Sunday. Yeah.
So here's a big question. I know there's not really a definitive answer to this, but do you think any small or big speedy gains that you seem to gain on, do you think they happen at club nights? Do you think that's where you pick up your speed? You know, is that where you?
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Since I've joined the club, my speed and my ability to pace races and things and sessions have improved, because
yeah,
I've got that structured session that someone is putting into place and knows what they're doing. So because he's a qualified coach, he knows what you need to do to
yeah,
improve your pace and your endurance and things like that. So
yeah,
I'm going to follow what he says because he knows what he's talking about. And
yeah.
since I've joined the club, my speed and my endurance and my ability to pace myself and know what I should be feeling at certain points of the race have really improved.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
those structured sessions, knowing that what you need to do in each of the session, and he will give you a pace that you should be running at. So when we go and do those 400s, he'll say either do them at your 3K pace or do them at your 5K pace, do them at your half marathon pace. And we know what we should be running for each of the laps. And as long as you keep that consistent, then that's good. The problem when you haven't got a structured session is sometimes your paces are all over the place because you are trying to just try and run as fast as you can for each thing. Whereas when they're setting a particular time or a particular pace, it's all about consistency. And if you're speeding up and slowing down all of your efforts, then your body's not getting used to a particular pace. And also your recovery is going to be all over the place. So your heart rate's going to spike, and then you're not going to be able to bring your heart rate down for the next effort and things like that. And the difference between knowing whether you should do a walk or standing still recovery or a jogged recovery, because a standing still recovery, if you've put in a really intense effort and then you stand still, your heart rate's going to come down. And then as soon as you start that effort again, your heart rate's just going to spike instantly because you're going off at a fast pace. Whereas if you jog the recoveries, it's going to bring your heart rate down gradually and not too far. So then when you pick up the pace again, it's not an instant spike and you're not going to redline straight away. You can build back it up into it. And also flushing out the lactic from your legs. If you carry on moving and jog your recoveries, then because your legs are moving, you're getting rid of that lactic acid out of your legs. Yeah. So when you hit the next effort, it's easier to get up to pace.
Yeah, I guess standing still can, sometimes have its benefits. Like if your literally lungs are on fire, then yes, you probably do need to stop. But I can totally see the sense in keeping it all moving.
Yeah.
And
that's why you need to pace those efforts, because if you're pushing too hard on the efforts, you need to stand still because you can't jog that recovery because you've absolutely wasted yourself on the effort. Whereas if you bring that effort back slightly to a constant, steady pace that you can do all of them at, then you can jog the recoveries rather than being exhausted in between every effort. The whole point of doing continuous efforts where you have jog recoveries is you are making that session worthwhile rather than peaking in places where you shouldn't and then destroying the session. It's not, and that's why those structured sessions that the coach is setting are so good compared to sessions that you just set yourself, because they know what you need and what your body needs to improve as a runner.
Yeah.
And it takes out the guesswork as well.
Yeah. I can totally see working with people that really do this, really know what they're doing. Tuesdays and Thursdays must be, you're in capable hands, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. But what I will say is you see the sprint group and they're completely different, because they will go and sprint as fast as they can for a rep on like 100s or 200s. And then they'll go and sit down for 5 minutes and have 5 minutes complete rest, so they can completely get rid of all of that lactic acid. Because when you are sprinting full pelt, you're going to hit lactic really quick.
Well, so it's pure anaerobic, isn't it?
Yeah, so they go and do that anaerobic effort and then rest for 5 minutes and do nothing, and then go in absolutely. So whilst we're running constantly round the track, we'll do like 5 miles in the same time that they'll do 400 meters.
Yeah. God, that puts things into perspective, doesn't it? But I bet they couldn't really beat you at a 5K, could they? I bet,
No,
I'd love to see them doing a marathon.
Yeah, exactly. It's a completely different way of training.
Yeah. Well, just as you've, does that bring you up to speed then?
Up to today, yeah. So what's your training session? Well, week been like so far?
Well, since Saturday, I did. I went down to Parkrun. Laura and I did a Parkrun sandwich, and what was quite throwing her under the bus a little bit here. But we got to Parkrun, and Laura was like, "I can't be bothered to do this." No, that's making us sound really, really lazy. She'd done a full week of training because she's in training for a 10K.
Yeah,
and she got to. That's at the end. That's 31st of March, which is last Sunday in Gloucester. Last Sunday in March. And it's in Gloucester.
So that's coming up. So only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, so she's been getting the volume in, and she's been doing, she's been doing really well, ticking over, been trying some hills, trying some intervals, and it was she just felt it would have been too much for her because our Parkrun sandwich would have been it's normally about 15 kilometers, so that's about 9 miles, is it? Something like that. 40, maybe in between 9 and 10. So it's probably would have been a bit of a push for her. And we got there, and the dog was sort of acting up a bit, and we just thought, do you know what? You sit this out, and I did the Parkrun, and I really, really enjoyed the way I ran it because I ran it as a progressive parkrun. So I started out nice and easy. Nice. And then what I tried to do is every kilometer I tried to knock 15 seconds off, so started off at 6 minutes, 45, 5:30. Then I got down to 5:15, and I thought, I don't really fancy running marathon pace. I'm going to go 5K pace. So my last kilometer, I was burning through these 28-minute park runners as if my life depended on it. But I really enjoyed it because the reason I did that, well, I did my last one in 4:22. And the reason I did that is because the day after, Sunday, I went over to Nottingham and did a 10K. And I only recently got myself a 10K PB in Bourton-on-the-Water, which was, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago now. And Rich, you might have seen him on my YouTube channel a bit, beautiful bearded Rich. He's got the demeanor of an English country gentleman, but the look of like a Hell's Angel with his big bushy beard.
Or what did you say on the start line? Make America Great Again, because he had his red cap.
Yeah, he always wears the red cap. I love his red cap.
I thought he looked like Fred Durst.
I call him Fred Durst as well sometimes. So yeah, if anyone ever does see him out and about, make sure you call him Fred or tell him to make America Great Again. But what I love about Rich, though, he seems to sometimes chop and change his hats, and he was wearing a golf hat. It shouldn't make me laugh, but he was wearing a Strixon hat for this 10K race. I thought, fair play. We're all wearing Varga hats, having spent 25 quid on them, and he's wearing a Strixon hat. So yeah, Rich said to us a while ago, there's a 10K round Nottingham Town Centre that's been sort of revitalised. I think they've sort of it's this company here. They're called Run for All. Jane Tomlinson's Run for All. They do the York Marathon. They do the Sheffield Half. They do some the Coventry one half marathon. They're fairly big event organizer, and they've taken on the Nottingham one. I don't know if they did it last year, but anyway, it's the first time I'd heard of it. Rich said, do you want to come and do it? A few of us went over there from Worcester, and it was a super early start because it was a 9 o'clock start, and fortunately Nottingham wasn't that bad to get to from here. It was only an hour and a half, hour and 25, something like that, and got there, made it to start line all okay. And my strategy was run the kilometre you're in. Just run what's in front of you. Don't worry about running to pace. Just do don't take it easy, because you haven't come here just to have a stroll. You've come here to work hard, but don't kill yourself going up these hills, because Nottingham, I didn't realise how hilly it was. And there are times in Nottingham where it made Sheffield look like the Norfolk Broads. Some of the hills in Nottingham were just borderline disgusting, nauseating. And I, like, going through my splits here, so my average pace for a PB would have been 4:24. So first K 4:24, second 4:33, 3 4:15, 4 4:35, 5 4:25, 6 4:05, 7 4:16, 8 4:29. Now at this point, my watch was telling me I'm below, or I'm around PB pace here. Then I drop a 5-minute kilometre up a big hill, which is called the Park Estate. Now, anyone from Nottingham will know what that hill was like, and it was pretty ugly getting up there. And at that point, I knew that the PB had gone. And in my head, I was so disappointed, because I was just thinking, imagine if I can get a PB on this course. Then, kilometre 10, I drop a 4:10. And bear in mind, my legs are cooked.
Yeah.
I'm 80 kilometers. I'm 50 mile into my week, which is the highest I've done for months. And I did a 3:40 pace finish line sprint, and I got in 17 seconds over, and I did a 44:37 in total. And sorry to cut a long story short, but I couldn't believe how it went. I kept the 45-minute paces behind me at all times.
Yeah.
And that was my motivation. If that flag rustling in the breeze sounds like it's getting close, you need to go a bit harder. And yeah, so I was delighted that I managed to come in with almost a PB. So I think that was probably more beneficial to me than the one I PB'd on, which was a nice flat course in the Cotswolds. This one, there was a lot of wind, there was a bit of rain, and there was a lot of hills. So there was basically a lot of resistance. Yeah. And my pace was 4:24 a kilometre, which is only 1 second slower per kilometre, which I can't even think about, because I won't sleep tonight thinking about that. If I'd have just gone a second faster each kilometre, I would have got a PB or two. And yeah, moving on to this week, it hasn't really been, I haven't really set the world alight really this week. I did
just to go back to Sunday. You know where you went wrong though, don't you? And what would have got you a PB?
What, maths? Maybe.
After last week, your maths is never going to get you a PB. Your shoe choice. That's where you went wrong.
I didn't think you'd notice that, but you never miss a trick, did you? So yeah, I decided to go with the Vaporfly, and I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Vaporfly, and every now and again I'll wear it and think, wow, this thing feels brilliant. And then I'll wear the Adidas, the Takumi Sen 8, and I'll be like, I might as well chuck my Vaporfly in the bin, because this is just so much better. And then I'll put the Vaporfly back on. I thought I'd give it a chance for the for that race. And I'm actually quite glad I did, because those Vaporflies are actually, I find them quite comfortable, and they're snappy, and I just they are quite a good looking shoe as well, which is a little bit of a factor. But I just decided to go with the Vaporfly.
Vaporflies have got to be a good shoe, otherwise all of the top guys wouldn't wear them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's just, I obviously have never put a pair on, but they've got to be a great shoe to run in. I can't imagine them not feeling good underfoot, because the amount of people who choose them as their race day shoe and swear by them, they've got to be a great shoe.
Yeah, they are nice, and in my experience, they're nothing like the Adios Pro 3, which is its competitor, really, I guess. They feel less stiff, so I think that's why the Adios Pro 3s are quite smooth, really, because they're quite a rigid shoe, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I find.
Yeah,
and the Vaporfly,
and the foam, although it's cushioned and forgiving, it has still got a bit of a firm feel to it. the foam itself.
Yeah, and I find maybe it's because I've had the Vaporfly quite a while now. I've had them 2 years nearly, but yeah, I find them a little bit squishier and a bit kinder to my feet than the Takumi Sen 8s, which are like slippers basically. They're like rocket fuel. They're like slippers with rockets on them, aren't they? Because they're so flat. You feel really quite flat-footed when you got them on your feet. But once your turnover is optimum, you really feel like, yeah, these are good shoes.
Yeah.
Because I know so many people lately who have bought them and they've said the same. Wow, these things are not how I thought they'd feel. But once I give them a chance and I start moving a bit quicker in them, I can see why everyone talks about them, because they are good. They're really, really good. So yeah, maybe if I'd have gone with the Takumis, I could have got the PB. Who knows?
Anyway, on to this week. What have you been up to this week?
So I've kept things pretty much easy. I've only done one session. On Monday, Laura and I headed over to the Mallard's Pike in Gloucestershire in the Forest of Dean. So we just went just to have like a nice run together, just to enjoy somewhere to run. So the two of us and the dog, we went over to Mallard's Pike, and we had a good old afternoon on the trails, which was really nice. She did one 8K loop with me, and then I did parkrun after that. So I ended up doing 13, and then I did that one a little bit harder, which was nice. And then the day after that, just did a nice recovery. Oh, no, it was a walk. So a recovery walk. And then the day after that, which would have been, it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember, 13th of March, whenever that was, which would have been 2 days after, so Wednesday, I did a trail sort of cross country, which was fun. Got my my Gore-Tex shoes on, and I hit some of the local trails, and it was so muddy, but so much fun. And then that takes me to Thursday, Thursday, which was yesterday. And I did a 22-kilometer run, which is just over a half marathon. So 13 and almost 14 miles. And I decided to do 1 kilometer warm up. And then I did 10K steady, which for me is a 5:30 pace, which is just under a 4-hour marathon pace. So what would that be? About 9:05 or something like that. And then I did 10K at marathon pace. Now, I haven't done a block of marathon pace for that long in one successive go.
Yeah.
For a long time. Yes, I've done a 10K race or a half marathon slightly quicker. But it's, and like we were saying earlier, going a bit harder on tired legs is where the fun really starts, isn't it? That's where you really start to learn a bit about yourself. So that's why I decided to not run 10K easy. I thought I'd run 10K steady because I didn't want that jump to marathon pace to feel too much, too hard. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of aerobic benefit lately from running steady. So I did that, and that felt good. And then, it was an out and back on the canal, and then 10K coming back into Worcester felt really good. So I managed to hit every pace apart from one, which was a bit of an exposed. There's an exposed section of, here come the excuses. There was an exposed section of the canal, and there was a bit of a brutal headwind. So again, lost sleep over that because I came in at 5:19 for that. So that was horrific. But the rest of them were all 5:03, 5:04, 5:05, something like that. So that was close to that magical 8-minute mile. And then today, just before we've jumped on the call, God, that sounds corporate, doesn't it, on the call? Just before we jumped on this podcast, I just went and did a 16.5K easy run. So keeping to a 6-minute, 5:55 pace, which is about 6:10, isn't it? 6:10 a mile, something like that. 10-minute 10 per mile, 10:15, something like that. So it's about a 10-mile run. And that was really nice and chilled. Nice. So really, really enjoyed. So that leaves me tomorrow off. And then Sunday will be an easy recovery probably, or just something along those lines.
Ready to start building again for that towards those peak weeks.
Yeah, because I'm going into 3 weeks of peak now, next week. And I still don't quite know how to do it. I still don't know whether to hit a number and hold that number. So do I hit a number next week and then hold that number for the next 2 weeks after that? Or do I keep...
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Do I keep the line going up? Or do I have an arrow shape and come down the mountain on the third week? And the answer is, I don't know.
What was your mileage last week?
It was 86 kilometers, which is about 53 mile.
And have you been building up to there? I'm going to go and have a look at your.
Yeah, for anyone wanting to look, I'm going to hold it up to the camera now. So it's probably backwards.
Okay.
But that's,
okay. So you have been slowly building, which is good. Okay, so
yeah, and I've put one deload week in. Yeah.
So hang on, I'm going to go to your thing. So last week was 53 mile, so 86k, by 53.7 mile. So you've been slowly building, and this week, what do you reckon you're going to end the week on? K's wise,
7. Let's just say 70. So that's
70.
Yeah, 10 mile less, isn't it?
So what were you hoping your peak week, highest mileage week?
I want to get to treble figures. I want to hit 100.
You want to hit 100?
Yeah, so they'll probably do that on the third week.
I would slowly build up to that then, rather than going straight up to it. So
yeah,
maybe.
I was thinking something like a 92 or a 90, and then a 95, and then 100. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe try 90, 95, 100.
Yeah. But that's what I did for Manchester last year. So my training has almost mirrored what I did. What I'm doing day to day is different, but the volume will look very similar.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I know where I went wrong in Manchester last year. I think I did go out a little bit too hard, and I don't think I did enough hill training, because I think it is a hill. It is a hill. You should respect it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I got enough hilly miles in my legs. Yeah. And or whatever it is, it's all of a sudden it's so strange, isn't it, Manchester? Because it's like flat, 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 flat. What is this? Flat, 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 flat. So it's like that, but that hill comes at like 16 miles, as I remember.
Yep.
So it's almost like quite a strange place in your marathon to have to deal with that, because you're already probably you're in that second phase of, okay, I'm not holding on, but this is hard work, and then you've got to add a little bit more hard work into that mixture. So yeah, it is a Manchester. Everyone's got different ways that they're going to run it. I mean, will you probably just hold a pace?
Yeah,
keep seeing those hitting 650s. Was it?
640s.
640s. You just want to keep hitting 640s.
So, I'm just going to go out at 640 and see if I can hold that for the whole thing. I mean, the dream is to negative split, isn't it? But if I can negative split by 1 second, I'll be very, very happy. So if I can go through the first half in 1 hour 27 and a half, I'll be very happy, because that will mean I'm on exactly 2:55 pace.
Yeah. And you're sort of, I know you don't do A, B, and C goals, but you've obviously got, if it doesn't go to plan, you can still get a big PB. You've still got 4 minutes worth of, because you're 2:59.20 something, weren't you, from last year?
Yeah, 2:59.21.
So you've still got maybe a little bit of wiggle room to still get a PB.
Yeah.
Which is it 2:55 or bust? Are you bothered about a PB, or is it just that 2:55? Is that the A and only goal?
2:55 is my target. Remember, it's a target, not a goal.
Sorry, target. Forgot I'm speaking to.
Yeah, no, 2:55 is the thing I am focusing on. I'm not thinking about anything else at the moment, but there is that thing of, B goal is PB. So if I don't hit 2:55, but do faster, even if it's 2:59.20, so it's 1 second faster, that's cool. So listen to me, B target is, just a PB, and then C target is faster than 3:05. So that's 3:05 was what I was aiming for, because that is good for age time for my age group. But I know that this year for London, they dropped all of the good for age times by 5 minutes. So to get a good for age place in my age group, you have to run sub 3. So so my targets are 2:55 is the thing I'm going to focus on, and only if it all goes horribly and it's a disaster, I will then think about B target, which is PB, and C target is just try and get under 3.
Yeah.
So
what's your next? What's your next after your 2:59? What's your next fastest marathon to date?
3:28.
Okay, so I could jinx this, but you'll almost certainly have a fastest or a second fastest all-time marathon in Manchester.
Yeah, hopefully,
below 3:28, and you've probably had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah. Yes. So,
what do you think then about what is your opinion on positive splitting? Because the reason I ask, right, because not an almost deliberately not deliberately positive splitting, because we all dream of an equal split race, don't we? But or a positive or a negative split. But when I think about my approach to Newport, for example, I'm in 3:30 shape up to 20 miles. I think, and I don't know what's on the other side of that great beyond unless I try. So here's the thing, right? Do you just roll the dice, go out hard, not hard, but go out at a fairly aggressive pace to what you think you can hold and just see if you can hold on? Or do you be cautious and almost expect hard times to approach so you can use that to your advantage in the second half of the race when things when the wheels start coming off? What I'm trying to say is, if I go out at 3:30 pace and I end up coming in at 3:45, will you still talk to me and not tell me off?
Of course, because you've said it yourself, you are in 3:30 shape. And you then put on the end up to 20 miles, but you're not, you're in 3:30 shape. You are. And I think your main decider on this will be next weekend. So I'm not sure how you're planning to run the 20 miler.
I've had an idea. I'll tell you in a minute.
20 miler. But I think after that, you will be able to make an intelligent, informed decision on what you do on marathon race day. Because that 20 miler will give you an indication of where your fitness is.
Yeah. Because we don't, like we've said before, marathons are not like parkruns. You can't just do them every week. So
no.
Do you roll the dice and just go balls to the wall and just say, this is my best shot and this is the way I think I should shoot my best shot? I just go, right, I'm probably going to positive split this. I know I'm going to hit the wall at some point. Do I not go out too fast? Because I'm not going to, I mean, I would regard going out too fast as half marathon pace. I wouldn't regard going out too fast as a 5 or 10 seconds faster than marathon pace, because I probably will get a little bit excited at the start. But I don't know, because if I start going below 8-minute miles and 5-minute Ks, my marathon could start with a 3:20 something. And that makes me excited. And that makes me think, because I've done a 1:36 with you, 1:35 half marathon, which is, you know, on that evidence, it's probably not far off a 3:20 or a 3:15 marathon. But with good fueling and good S&C and good tapering, you could argue, then why not? So yeah. I'm just constantly having this battle with myself. And if I know this sounds like, I know you're not my therapist, but you might as well be. But I'm constantly worried about what people are going to say. because there's a little bit. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. It's my marathon. I can do it. It's my life. Blah blah blah. But I do feel like with my YouTube channel and this podcast, there's a little bit of a, how do you phrase this? An expectation to deliver. And I don't want to be a guy who says he's going to do something and then goes out and not do it because I got greedy or because I got, overexcited or too cocky. So there is that.
I completely understand that. And you are right. I was going to say, ignore everyone else because they're not running the marathon. You are. So they can have all the opinions they want, but the only opinion that really matters is your own, because you are the one doing the work. You're the one who's putting in all the hours for the training. You're the one that is going to stand on that start line and run those 26.2 miles. So that's the only opinion that matters.
Yeah.
But yes, we put out there into the big wide world, this is what we are attempting to do. But I think that is the important word, is this is what we are attempting to do. We've not said we're going to do it. We are saying that is our target, or in your words, it's our goal. That's what we would like to be able to do. Not we're definitely going to do it. At no point have either of us said, I'm going to go and run this. We've both said, this is what we want to try and do. And I think that's all you can do. And as long as you are honest, and as long as you are telling everybody what you are feeling and how you have gone about doing it, then I don't think you've ever got to worry about anybody's opinion, because you've been true to yourself and you've been truthful in how you've put it out into the world. Now, if you were going out and you were doing twice as much training as you were saying, and you were only showing half of it and saying, oh, this is all the training I've done, and then you come out the other end with a really good race time and say, oh yeah, I only did this much training and I managed to get this, then yes, you deserve all of the hate. Well, I take that back. You don't deserve all the hate, but you deserve all of the bad comments that people are going to say because you're lying.
Criticism, yeah.
You deserve it because you're lying. But at no point have either of us lied and said, this is definitely what we're going to do, and hidden anything away. We put all of our training out there. We tell exactly how we're feeling. We tell them exactly what we're doing. And we're just documenting. As we've said in the past, we are documenting our running journey. We're not.
It's like one big science experiment, isn't it? That never ends.
It is, yeah. We're not telling people what they should do. We're saying what we've done. And that's the fine line between the silly channels I see on YouTube saying, this is how you run a faster marathon. You do this, this. It's not that straightforward. It's different for every single person. There's no way you can give a generic thing and it suit everybody. So as I say, as long as you are being truthful and you are putting everything out there and not telling any lies, which I know 100% is you down to a T, because that's what you show everyone. You show all the ups and downs. You show exactly how you feel. You put that out in the world. And I know I know you off the internet as well as on the internet, and you are the same person. So it's not like you're putting on this facade and hiding behind this personality that you only put on for the internet. You're the person we see on YouTube is exactly who you are, and I think that's brilliant.
That's good to know, I suppose. But I also think I struggle with sometimes that is it greedy to want something you're maybe that's, but let me finish, right? Is it greedy to want something you're not capable of? Let's just say that. So because I think it's okay to want, let's just talk in relativity to marathon terms. I'd love a 3:30 marathon. I really would. And I've been training to paces that are close to it, but probably not quite there. So on marathon day, it might be a bit of a risk if I do go out for a 3:30. But I still have that thing in me that if you don't try, then you'll never know.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I genuinely don't know whether to just see, because you could argue that Newport, there might never ever be a better course to do that on because it's so flat.
Yeah, because as you were saying about Manchester, where you go flat, 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 whoa, flat, 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 flat. Yours is going to be flat, 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 flat. Oh, hello, flat, 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 flat. Because there's
Finished.
just a bridge. There's a bridge in the middle where there's a little hump. But yeah, I think Newport is the course where you're going to have your best chance. But I think what your question was an interesting one, because you said, is it greedy to want something you're not capable of? And yes, it is. To want something you cannot do would be very greedy, to go out and try and do something that you are not capable of. Because if you personally went out and said, right, I'm going to go out and try and run a 3-hour marathon. I don't want to like sound bad, but it's not going to happen at this moment in time.
No, it definitely isn't. No.
So yes, it would be really greedy if you went out and set out to do that. But the difference between you going out and wanting a 3-hour marathon and you wanting a 3:30 is the fact that you are capable of a 3:30. So it's not greedy at all, because you are more than capable of doing it. You've hit the half time that you would need to be able to run a 3:30. So we know that's there. And you're putting in the time and the effort and the training to achieve that 3:30. So in no way is it greedy to go out and try and hit that 3:30.
Well, that's something I do struggle with. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to start the marathon at 3:42 pace, which is ultimately the target that I do want to dip below. I don't want to go at 3:42 pace and then still bonk at 20 mile, because I'm not going to get any faster from 20 mile onwards. So I might as well go out a bit harder at 3:30 and see if I can scrape under 3:42. So it's also, the psychology of marathon running is.
But this is the thing. If you look at most of the faster runners in marathons who are running like 2:20 and stuff like that, when they go out, they're going out and pushing themselves to the point where they might hit the wall and they might bonk and they might come in slower than they wanted. But unless they roll the dice, they're not going to get to the point that they want to.
We saw that with Tokyo, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did you see that they were running world record pace for about over the half?
Yeah.
Or not far off it, or maybe a little bit further. But then it showed the 5K splits from every 5 kilometers, and they were dreadfully slow towards the end. They were like a minute or 2 minute and a half away from where they should have been.
But if they hadn't have gone out at that pace, they would never know whether they would have run it or not. I suppose, like look at me last year. Okay, so for Manchester, I'd run my fastest marathon in 2016 was a 3:28, right?
Yeah.
So when you saw me last year say, I'm going to try and run a 3-hour marathon, did you think that was greedy?
No, because I knew what you would. I knew you, and I knew what you were shooting for, knew what you were capable of.
Yeah. So therefore, why would you be trying to get 3:30? Why would that be greedy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's my stupid little brain. I think when it comes to like, I don't know. I guess I feel a bit anxious about it sometimes, but and it's a rational thought, isn't it? Because I think everybody probably has that internal battle with themselves. Can I do this or can't I do this?
Yeah, you've got to aim high. Yeah. You've got to aim high and set your targets high, but within reason. And that's the thing. So I don't think 3:30 is out of the realms of your ability.
Yeah.
You've just got to go for it.
Yeah, because it's just, I genuinely think, I genuinely keep visualizing. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I keep visualizing that finish line at Newport, and I can,
That's the best way to do it.
See that time on the clock, and
yeah, visualize what you are going to do and make it reality.
Yeah, what do they call it? Manifesting, and it's
Yeah.
a case of making it happen. And I don't think there's a such thing as luck in running, is there? Or hope,
Well,
because you've
like,
got. I mean,
it's like what Laura said to you. You get what you deserve.
yeah, very true, very very true.
If you've put the training in and you've put the effort in, you get the rewards. If you've been silly and do stupid things, you get what you deserve.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. We'll have to wait and see how peak and taper goes. But up to now, apart from aching and moaning about it, I feel pretty good. And I've grabbed myself a 10k PB up to now, and I feel like whenever I hit intervals or something, I feel like I'm running comfortably top end stuff quite well. I just thought that endurance. So like we were saying, this 20-mile race that we're both doing next week will probably give us a bit of clarity, hopefully, on where we both are.
I think you'll be able to make a decision after that, knowing where your pacing and your fitness is after that 20-mile race will definitely give you an indication of what you'll be able to do at Newport.
Well, I think this could all be subject to change, but what I'm thinking of doing is, because it's a 20-mile race, right? So I'm going to do 10k or just under 7 mile steady, and then a half marathon at marathon pace. So in Ks, that'll be a 10k plus 22. That should take me to 32k, which will be 32k, which will be 20 miles. So that's what I think. That's what I would like to do. But up until now, I haven't run that much marathon pace.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You're a couple of weeks behind me, aren't you? Like with marathon coming up. So that might be okay for you to do at that point. See, I didn't know what to do in the 20 miler. And I wasn't sure how to run it. And I actually asked the question to the guys on Beyond 385 Yards podcast, sent in a question to them. So Carl Wellborn on there answered my question for me, the lovely guy that he is. And I didn't know whether to use it as a session or to try and run all 20 mile at marathon pace.
Okay.
And his response was, it's too close to the marathon to do 20 miles at marathon pace, which I completely agree with. I don't know why I was thinking 20 mile at marathon pace would be a sensible thing 3 weeks out from the marathon. Yeah. So his advice was to do it as a progressive run, and finish the 20 mile at marathon pace, which I think is exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it in 5 mile blocks. I'm going to start the first 5 mile. I think I've made the decision. I'm not 100%, but I think I've made a decision. I'm going to start it 45 seconds slower than marathon pace. So I'm going to start at 7:25, which is just slightly quicker than my steady pace.
Okay.
So 7:25 a mile. Do the first 5 mile at that.
Yeah.
The next 5 mile, I'm going to knock 15 seconds a mile off. So I'll go down to 7:10s for 5 mile. The next 5 mile after that, I'll go down to 6:55s. So knock another 15 seconds off. And then the last 5 mile, I'll knock 15 seconds off again, down to 6:40s marathon pace, and finish that last 5 mile at marathon pace. So it'll give me that feel of effort in the legs, because I'm not running slow for the first 15 mile. I'm still running at a decent steady pace. Yeah. And then building up to that tempo marathon pace for the end, so I can get a feel of what it's going to feel like at marathon pace on tired legs.
Yeah.
And that should hopefully give me confidence that I'm finishing the 20 miles at the right pace.
Have you ever done a 20-mile race?
No. I've done a 20-mile run, but never done a 20-mile race.
Yeah, me neither. So I wonder if there will be a race element.
Yeah.
To try and not get swept up in, which will be difficult for us.
This is the thing. What the other thing that Carl was saying, and I'm looking forward to, is there might be people in this race. There's going to be a huge amount of people doing this 20-miler who are all working towards spring marathons. So they're using it as a long run training session. But there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be racing it as a 20-mile race. And if I start off slower at that 45 seconds slower than I want to run pace, as I build up my speed, I will be overtaking people, hopefully. Yeah. And that confidence that will give you at the end of a 20-mile race, if you are overtaking people in that last few miles, it's going to fill you with confidence that your speed and your pace is at a good...
there.
Yeah.
That was like me at parkrun last week.
Yeah, exactly. There's no better feeling than passing people, is there? So, yeah, I think that will fill us with confidence if we can end that 20-mile race strong.
The thing I like about progression runs is they're probably one of my favorite sessions to do, is that the effort sneakily doesn't, it obviously goes up, but you don't feel it going up. And all of a sudden, half an hour in or whatever, you think, oh, look at me, I'm running half marathon pace here. I'm running 10K pace. How did that happen? I still feel like I'm running a lot easier than I am because you've kind of eased into it. Yeah. And yeah, it's quite a nice feeling, isn't it? It's but I've never done I don't think I've ever done anything over a 10-mile or 10K progression. So a 20-mile progression, yeah, that to me says that you've got control. That if you can nail that, that says that you've got you've got control over your body and your mind to some degree.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be good because it gives us a chance to test out race kit over a good, decent distance. Gives us a chance to test out fueling over that distance. Water, taking on water at the water stations and stuff like that. It's going to give us all that practice ready for race day, which we need.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. So it's kind of going to be quite exciting next week.
Exactly. Actually, we haven't gone through anything that we've got on the list, really. We've gone through a couple of things, but
we're like item 1 out of 10, so it's going to be a long one.
But one of the things I did write down is something we were going to talk about last week, but it was like using new stuff on race day. Now, it's very well documented that you should never try new stuff on race day, especially in a marathon. You should never try new stuff. But I will be using my race day shoes for Manchester for the first time at the 20-miler.
I was going to say for the first time on marathon day. So that makes sense. Because you want to put a few miles in them, don't you?
Exactly. So I want to put some miles into the shoes, but I'm not going to use them for any training runs until next Saturday's 20-miler, which is a race. So some people might think that's a bit silly because it's something new on race day. But what I'm thinking is I've already raced in the same shoes, just a different pair. So I know they fit well. I know I can run in them well. It's just I want to break them in and put some miles on them. So rather than being new stuff on race day, it's new stuff of things I've used in the past.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense because you'll have a spring in your step on the 20-mile race day. And then on actual race day in Manchester, you'll have kind of run those shoes in. Maybe I don't know if you said you're going to put them on your feet another time in between those two races, but I think it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. Light Strike Pro as well always needs a few miles to get to its peak, I think. So that foam it feels great out the box, but once you put a few miles in there, it really starts to take on a whole different life. So yeah, I think that 20 miler, putting 20 miles into them, they'll be at their peak, ready for the start of Manchester.
I will be wearing my Adios Pro 3s as well, because I've only worn them for Chester and York and maybe one park run or something like that before.
Yeah.
One or maybe literally 4 runs, including 2 marathons. So I don't think I've even got 80 mile, 70 mile in my Adios Pro. So they're basically brand new.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to stick. I wore them around the lounge the other day because I was really excited to wear them. And in fact, what I was doing was I was trying to explain the difference between the Takumi Sens and the Adios Pro 3. So I had Laura wearing my Adios Pro 3s to see if she could feel the difference. And when she sort of leaned forward, Michael Jackson style, you know, she nearly nearly
rocker on them, yeah.
And I said that's the difference. That aggressive rocker is the difference between the Takumi Sens and the. So as you said there, they feel a bit more smoother, don't they?
Yeah,
because you get that.
I was going to mention that your message to me yesterday, because you went and did that session that you did yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday, 10K into marathon pace.
So you did that in your Takumis, and you sent me a message saying that's put a really difficult decision now of do I wear my Takumis for the marathon. But yeah, as I said, I would go with the Adios Pro 3s just because they feel smoother over the longer distance. The Takumis are snappier and they feel faster, but are they going to feel as fast when you hit 20 mile and you've got 10K to go?
Yeah, when my form starts getting really sloppy as well, I don't think they're going to do me any favors, and I don't think I'm a seasoned enough runner to keep the form in a good shape that long into the marathon. So that's why they're almost like cheat shoes, aren't they? Because they really can help you when you're struggling, and they help you in terms of effort. They help you in terms of your form, and that's why I'm 99% going to be wearing them.
Yeah, nice.
For race day. Yeah. In fact, it's more like 99%, 0.9. So, well, I was going to say, because you mentioned that we had someone that said, I wish we could remember who it was now, but I can't. We had someone write in who said that they were going to wear these Takumi Sens for their marathon because they've worn them on a few 18 or 20 mile long runs. So fair play to who it was. We'll have to find out. Is it someone called Scott? Was it Scott?
Scott _22.
Yeah. So yeah, fair play, Scott. If it works for you, you can't say fairer than that. But just looking back at, because we did ask last week for people to write in if they've got any questions or if they've got any comments. So let me just check the emails. Yeah, check the emails. No emails. we didn't get any emails.
So that was quick. Shall I reiterate the email address? It is runningtheredlinepod@gmail.com.
I would be surprised, literally be surprised if we get an email. But I generally will be like, oh my God, we've got an email. So, but anyway, so just going to quickly go through what a few folk have said on the last video. Cool. So Freddie Runs has said Andy's brain definitely wasn't braining on this one. I think that was in relation to my mathematics.
Yeah, well, talking about your maths, you had a maths problem the earlier this week as well, didn't you?
Probably. I can't remember what you're going to say.
You sent me a message going, I need advice. I'm now in this week and I've only got this many weeks left. What do I do? And you completely miscalculated how many weeks you actually had left.
Yeah, I said I'm in week 10. I've only got 6 weeks to go. But when you're at the beginning of week 10, you've technically got 7 weeks, haven't you? Is that what it is? Yeah. Mate, I cannot go down this road because it's damaging for me. I cannot go down a mathematical road. So moving on, moving swiftly on. Mark Hurdy-Gurdy, he said, thanks for the mention of my 2-minute PB at Cambridge and also Mrs. H at the Nottingham 10K. I appreciate you guys as well. I'm sorry I didn't see Mrs. H, but Mark, thanks. Mark sent me a video of me legging it past him at the finish line, and he even said, it's on Andy. So massive thanks. Thanks to you, Mark. And sorry I didn't get a chance to see you, but massively appreciate the support. Mark G, I can't see because it doesn't say his username, but I think this is Mark G. The Test Run has said, was peeing myself during the quiz. Please don't stop. So, Mark, you'll be pleased to know that there is coming up very soon a Brett's at the end of the post. Oh, God. Brett's at the end of the podcast quiz is coming up soon. Mark Hurdy-Gurdy has said, well done, Laura, on the amazing 5K PB. Oh, he's also said, I didn't see this, for fueling solutions in a marathon, I've been training with Say Sky half tights. There are two side thigh pockets for gels. In addition to this, I wear a Decathlon Eve Addict running belt that was 25 quid. It's got deep netting pockets all the way around. I take with me 250ml Decathlon flask of OTE super carbs, which I sip on, which provides additional carbs and some electrolytes. Also means I don't have to stop at water stations. I ran the Stamford 30k this way and I never needed a water station. I also take the OTE 40-gram carb gels, so I've got one gel every 30 minutes. Keep up the good work. Loving the podcast. So, yeah, cheers, Mark. Mac Ashworth says malt loaf with a heart.
Yes.
I presume that's in relation to you sleep eating.
Yeah.
Like a zombie, stuffing your face with the old Noreen Elsmore. Running Steve said, I was looking forward to a full forensic review of Hysteria here. Disappointed that I just got rubbish maths. Yeah, again, getting hammered here, getting pelters. The Woo has said, there was me trying to concentrate on my long run, trying to get through 35 kilometers of hills and wind and rain. And then I'm just pissing myself laughing. Some pearlers in the episode. But what sort of time before your long runs are you eating? About 3 to 5 minutes. That got me. Haha. You're welcome. Mac has said, embrace the jiggle, which I think we were talking about body image and body shape last week.
Yeah.
And he said, and Steve OxoCube says, I don't know if that's his real name, could be. Something I do during a 2-week taper is go completely caffeine free. It makes caffeine gels absolute rocket fuel on the day of the race.
That's an interesting idea.
And finally, it's our old pal Gary Manders.
Yay.
He said, you pair are heavily pushing me towards getting a pair of Takumi Sens. Everyone apart from myself and Mr. Maguire's dog, Daisy, seems to have a pair. Not that she needs them. Choosing to ignore your comment about medals, flaming magpies. Good watch as always. So, yeah, thank you so much for all your comments. And good news, by the way, there has been no change at the top of the leaderboard or the viewing leaderboard, you know, how many, what countries, but the Netherlands, you have got some competition because Spain have slipped into 6th, but Sweden, Greece, and Egypt, I told you, I mentioned Egypt last week.
Yeah.
They are hot on your tail. Sweden, Greece, and Egypt. So there could be a fight for 5th place. So,
nice.
So yes, before we go on to Brett's end of the podcast quiz, do you have any other business, any other chats you want to go through?
Yes, there was one thing I was going to bring up, and it is.
Go on.
So 4 weeks ago, I made the jump from an Apple Watch to a Coros Pace 3.
Yeah.
And when I got it 4 weeks ago, I charged it up to 100% and put it on and went down to Parkrun. And since that first charge, when it came out the box, I have just last night charged it for the second time in 4 weeks.
That's impressive. Which
is mental. So I've done 2 weeks of running on each charge of the watch.
And is it a super fast charge as well when you do charge it? I imagine it's like
it doesn't take that long at all. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
It's not bad, is it? It's quite impressive, to be honest. So yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up because I'm well impressed. And I've been using the Coros app quite a bit as well to go along with Strava, and it's quite good with the data that it's giving me. It's annoying me a little bit because it keeps on telling me I'm completely exhausted and I need about 5 days rest.
I've seen the it's not an emoji, but I've seen the shape of a man, a runner, just looking absolutely bereft of confidence and deflated.
And it says I've got 0% of energy left and I need 5 days of rest. And then the other day it told me I was overtraining, and I was like, "Come on, can't you see I'm marathon training? Shut up!"
God.
But I think that's because my watch is fairly new, and I've only had it for 4 weeks, so it doesn't actually know how much training I do each week. It's catching up, so it needs quite a few weeks before it understands all of your pace zones and all of your heart rate zones and all of that sort of stuff. So
yeah. Ah, good stuff. Would you? So I'm pretty certain you're going to recommend this watch. Then you're
yeah.
big fan of it.
I'm really enjoying using it now. I've got the hang of it, and I've changed some of the watch faces, so it's got the data I want and I need on the watch face. I'm really impressed.
Have you disabled the touchscreen, or do you like the touchscreen element?
I haven't used the touchscreen at all on it. I've just used the buttons. So
I think I do the same. Yeah, because the touchscreen, it works in theory, doesn't it? But it just ends up becoming a bit of a faff or a bit of a nightmare. And
on my Apple Watch as a daily watch, touchscreen's fantastic. But whilst you're running, it becomes a bit annoying and not the most straightforward of things to use. So buttons are the way forward.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's time for Brett's end of the podcast quiz. So, as always, 5 questions. These are complete general knowledge. There is don't try and find a running connection. You can try. You might be able to find one, but that's not the one we're looking for. So, you've got, as always, 5 questions, but there is a connection between the 5 answers.
Okay. So there's a connection, but it's not a running connection.
No, definitely not a running connection. Okay. Cool. So here we go. Then question 1. What Disney film is the boy Russell and the dog called Doug from?
Up.
Correct.
Hooray!
I didn't expect you to get that so quickly. Yeah, that's the first one. So it might help.
The Boy Scout.
Yes. Such that montage, by the way. You know, the montage of him getting older of Carl. Is it Carl?
Carl, yeah.
Yeah, that is just one of the most emotionally
it's incredible.
Brilliant pieces of filmmaking of all time. Brilliant film. Question 2. The world's driest area receives on average only 1 millimeters of rain per year. But how is this area of northern Chile commonly known? Look at your face.
Chile.
Yeah. How good your geography?
Terrible.
Chile geography.
Terrible. Yeah, the Sahara Desert's nowhere near there, so it can't be that.
Well, I'll give you a clue. You're on the right lines.
Mm-hmm.
By saying what you just said. I'll potentially give you half a point if you say one of those 2 words.
Desert.
Yes. Do you want the answer? It's called the.
What's it start with? What letter?
A.
I
wonder if we've got any Chileans listening to this podcast screaming the answer. Probably not. Send me an email.
The area of desert in Chile.
Yeah. How good's your knowledge of Chilean deserts?
Yeah, no, not good at all. So no, go for it.
Okay, it's called the Atacama Desert.
Okay.
Right.
No wonder I didn't know that.
Question 3. How good is your Oscar nomination and winners knowledge?
This year or in general?
In 2008. in 2008, Catherine Bigelow became the first woman to win an Oscar for Best Director for what film? In 2008, Catherine Bigelow became the first woman to win an Oscar for Best Director, but for what film?
2008.
It's a war film.
Was it something like Zero Dark 30?
No, but I think she actually was involved in that. But it's similar. It's similar to that kind of.
The Hurt Locker.
Correct.
Yes.
Very good. So that is. Okay, right. I've just given you question 5. That answer is question 5. So imagine that was question 3. So that's the answer to question 5. Okay, I might have ruined it now. Okay, question 3. Imagine, that didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Question 3. What is the name of the practice that involves freezing an individual who has died with the object of reviving the individual in the future?
Cryogenic freezing.
Correct. It's actually called cryonics. And finally, question 4. Yeah, go on. Have you got something to add?
I was just going to say,
cryogenics.
Have you ever watched the film called Idiocracy?
No.
If you haven't, you should watch it. It's very good. I think, if I'm right, I think it's by. It was written by Mike Judge. I think. Don't quote me on that. But he's the guy who wrote Beavis and Butthead. But it's Luke Wilson. Owen Wilson's brother is the main character, and he's just a simple guy who's got like a factory job, and he falls into a cryogenic freezing chamber and wakes up hundreds of years in the future. And because intelligent people have stopped having babies because they're focusing on their career, and stupid people have just carried on breeding and breeding and breeding, he wakes up and he's the most intelligent man on earth. And it's actually a really interesting like concept and theme.
Right.
But it's a really good comedy. So if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend watching Idiocracy. It's great.
Oh, that sounds good. And finally, question 4. So imagine this question 4. Spice Girls had 3 Christmas number 1s in a row. 2 Become One, Too Much, and what was their third? And what was their third number 1 in a row?
Now I've worked out the connection already, so I'm trying.
Have you?
I have indeed. So
yes.
So I'm trying to work out who the song. I'm trying to work out what Spice Girls song has got "lie" in it.
Or is it that word? Do you want to speculate?
No. It's goodbye.
Correct.
Goodbye, my friend.
And how have you made that connection?
Because I am never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to run around
and Atacama desert you.
Never going to make you cry.
Cryogenics.
Never going to tell a lie, never going to say goodbye or hurt you.
Hurt locker you.
Yeah.
There you go. The connections are 5 of the keywords from the first half of the chorus of Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up."
Amazing! I have been
congratulations. Congratulations! I'm so glad you got that. That was brilliant.
A bit of information on why I got that so quick is the Rick Astley album. What was the album called? Oh man, I can't remember what the album was called, but that was the first ever album I bought on cassette.
No.
Yeah.
Did you buy that?
Yeah, he was my favorite artist when I was little. When I was a little kid, he was my favorite singer. And it was called Together Forever, the album was. Because that was one of the songs on the album.
Forever.
Exactly.
It's very Donovan-esque,
I absolutely loved it. And that cassette was on repeat in my bedroom when I was little, dancing around. Yeah.
My first single I ever bought was Ant and Dec, Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Amazing.
I don't know what my first album was, but yeah, I remember I went to Our Price in Bromsgrove.
Yes.
Mum gave me was it 99p for a single back then?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was allowed to get that. So I was buzzing with that.
Amazing.
Let's get ready, let's get
in
ready,
the cardboard slip sleeve.
Yeah.
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 Not even in a like a plastic like clamshell case, in a slip sleeve. Oh, so good.
Back in the day. Do you remember when you'd get a CD as well and all the lyrics would be
one of the best things about a CD.
In the sleeve with full photo shoots as well of that band or that artist. It was like, wow.
That's why I still like physical media rather than like streaming or downloading, because you actually still get printed booklets and things like that. That's why physical media is brilliant.
I've heard that vinyl is making a big comeback.
It is, yes. It's been making a comeback for years, but it's really starting to make a comeback. And one of the reasons is sound quality, because the best sound quality is from vinyl, because it can give you the widest range of frequencies. It can give you higher highs and lower lows.
In our house, growing up, I never appreciated it, but until I was an adult. But my mum and dad bought loads of vinyls over the years, including Thriller, Michael Jackson. What an album that is! Yes. That's the one with was it Thriller, where he's got a leopard or a tiger and he's in a white suit? Is that Beat?
Oh yes, that is
Thriller, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Where he's lying down on the side.
Yeah. So there's that one. There's some songs there's some albums by ELO. I've just got so many cool. I know what you mean, man. You crack that, you get that vinyl on the old turntable when you crank up the volume. It just sounds different, doesn't it?
Yeah,
sounds so good. Yeah. Well, I think that's us. I think that's it. I think that's it for another episode.
Amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for listening once again. We are 10 down. So let's see where the next 10 take us. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We will see you again next week. Cheers, guys.
Looking forward to it. See you soon.